Welcome to Undercard Heroes. My name is Francisco.
I'm Heather.
And we're going to be bringing you 6 UFC fight picks. We're going to tell you why we picked them, and then we're going to talk about how we structured them into a parlay. For this video, we're going to be talking about UFC Fight Night. Machado Garry versus Carlos Prates. Let's get it.
Now, I'm new to the UFC, so Francisco is going to explain his picks to me.
All right, should we get started?
Let's do it.
All right, first fight I want to talk about Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick. Now, last week when I was first looking into this fight, Jimmy Flick was a plus 250 underdog. So you bet $100, you win $250. When I locked in this bet this week, he was plus 215. So a lot of people think that, that means the money line's going down. A lot of people think that he's going to win, and I think for good reason. Both of these fighters are submission specialists. Jimmy Flick has 15 wins by submission. Matt Schnell has 9. I think this fight definitely goes to the ground. Matt Schnell has definitely fought tougher competition, including Pantoja, Brandon Royval, Steve Erceg. He actually dropped Brandon Royval on the feet. So if this fight stays on the feet, I think that Matt Schnell has an advantage, but I think it definitely goes to the ground, and I think that Jimmy Flick wins by submission.
Now, I'm wondering how much of Matt Schnell's power standing comes from the gust of wind, which is his chest hair passing from the left to right across his chest.
It definitely looks like some kind of explosion coming off of his right arm.
It's intimidating, that's for sure. But
definitely.
Yeah, Jimmy he looks meaner. So, I think Jimmy definitely looks like he could be a contender just with that mean face, though. So we'll see.
He definitely looks meaner. Matt Schnell's hairier, so I don't know how the two translate. But we'll see. Next fight I want to talk about is going to be Malcolm Wellmaker versus Cameron Saaiman. Now, this super close fight between the two of them, but I'm going with Malcolm Wellmaker for this one. It's his UFC debut, and this guy has been, knocking people out like crazy. He just got a knockout win from the Contender Series, and, I think that this stays on the feet. I think Cameron Saaiman is also, really powerful knockout artist. I think that the two of them stay standing. But I do think that Malcolm Wellmaker's got the momentum coming into this, and he's probably going to win either by knockout, maybe TKO. Cameron Saaiman is coming off of 2-fight losing streak. So I think that this goes Malcolm Wellmaker's way.
Should be Malcolm Unwell Maker.
Definitely, he's definitely going to make Cameron Saaiman unwell, I think. All right, moving on. The last parlay I want to talk about on this one. So the way that I'm structuring these parlays, I'm going to give you 6 picks, and then these first 3, putting these into a parlay, the second 3 into a second parlay, and then we'll combine them all at the end. So this one rounds out the first 3. Michel Pereira versus a bus.
Greyhound. Does he go by Greyhound? Is that his?
A Greyhound bus full of Greyhounds. A bus.
I was hit by a bus. That's how my face got this one.
Michel Pereira. I'm going with my heart on this one. I'm going to say Michel Pereira wins. I love his style. I think that he has a really unique fighting style. I think he's very creative with his striking. He's always doing crazy stuff like backflips onto people who are on the ground. Just insane striker. I think that he definitely has the potential to beat a bus here. And so
it's really saying something.
So
Cirque du Soleil his way around.
So I think I think Michel Pereira wins this one. I think it's probably going to go decision. Maybe he can pull out a KO TKO on a bus, but I think it goes to decision.
Sounds good to me. We'll see. He's fighting a bus.
Like I said, I'm putting these first 3 fights into one parlay. If you put them all together, it's plus 905. So what I'm doing is I'm taking $100, putting $37.50 on this first parlay. So that's going to pay out to $376.97 for this first three. All right, moving on to the second half of this parlay. We're going with Anthony Smith versus Mingyang. Now, this has potential to be a huge fraud alert. Mingyang is on an 11-fight win streak, all by first-round finish, 8 of them by KO or TKO. That's
guy crazy. Even as someone who doesn't know UFC really well, that already sounds really impressive and pretty scary.
It's insane. It's really incredible what he's been able to do. But this guy that he's going against, Anthony Lionheart Smith, he's no joke, man. He's a tested veteran. He's been in the UFC for a while. Lionheart versus Mountain Tiger. Ultimately, I think that Mingyang gets it done. But, like I said, Anthony Smith has been in there with the best of them. He's fought John Jones, Glover Teixeira, Alexander Gustafsson, Mauricio Shogun Hua, even the current light heavyweight champ, Ankalaev. And so he's definitely got a strong test in front of him, Mingyang, but ultimately I think he gets it done.
So I was noticing, looking at these numbers, their heights and weight, I noticed that Anthony is 2 inches taller than Zhang Mingyang and 18 pounds lighter. And to me, that sounds like you have a taller, skinnier guy going up against this really much more muscular guy. Is that right?
Yeah, so these are the weights that they walk around at. And so Anthony Smith at 205, that's the light heavyweight limit. So he's not cutting any weight, whereas Zhang Mingyang is going to cut about 18 pounds in order to get in the ring with him. So come fight night, he's going to be, he's going to probably put all that weight back on. He's going to have a huge weight advantage over him. So I think that that's going to carry over to his knockout power. And, that's where he's going to get the knockout over Anthony Smith, which is tough to say because, Anthony Smith's a veteran. But I think win or lose, this is probably Anthony Smith's last fight in the UFC.
Wow.
All right, next fight I want to talk about here, David Onama versus Giga Chikadze. Now, I'm going to go ahead and call this one. I think David Onama is a fighter on the rise. I really think that you can get in early right now on David Onama. The stock is low. Not a lot of people know about him. But this guy's got real knockout power. I mean, he's the first Ugandan-born UFC fighter. He's on a 3-fight win streak. And I think that, he is definitely somebody to watch. He's my fighter on the rise. But he's got a real tough challenge here with Giga Chikadze. Very skilled striker. He was on a 9-fight win streak. He started having a couple losses. But there was a time when I really thought that Giga Chikadze was a title contender. I thought he was going to go pretty far. But now he seems to be in this gatekeeper role with David Onama being the first one at the door. But I think Onama gets this done either by decision, maybe even KO, TKO.
And that's despite his very skinny looking legs. Is that those are the skinniest legs in the UFC that I've seen so far.
He does have very skinny little legs, but I think his knockout power is probably going to come mostly from his upper body.
His upper body, there we go.
Yep. So last fight I want to talk about here, rounding out this second half of the parlay. Machado Garry versus Carlos Prates. Now this is the main event of this fight card, and this fight is going to be amazing. I think this is going to be a fantastic fight. Shout out to the Fighting Nerds. That is the team that Carlos Prates fights on. Every time I see these guys fight, it's must-watch television. Every time I see one of them, I think this is the next title contender. This is the future of the UFC.
The nerds.
The Fighting Nerds.
Not intimidating, exactly, but...
But, we saw in the most recent fight, Gene Silva versus Bryce Mitchell, Silva beat the arc insanity out of Bryce Mitchell. And so, like I said, must-watch TV, but I think that Garry is going to get it done here. My money's on Garry. I think that he has fought, more experienced fighters than Carlos Prates. I think he's been tested a little bit more. We saw that in his fight against Michael Venom Page. He also made Shavkat look beatable, which Shavkat is a world destroyer. And so for Garry to put on the performance that he did, I think he comes back stronger. But, Carlos Prates is not, somebody to be messed with. He's on an 11-fight win streak. 10 of them by KO, TKO. This is going to be his toughest challenge yet, but I think that Garry gets it done.
I just looking at these two guys, Carlos just looks more tired to me. So, my money just on Ian's mean face here versus Carlos's tired face. My money's on Ian just looking at him.
Well, that's because Carlos Prates smokes probably like 4 packs of cigarettes a second. So
that's crazy. What a feat.
That rounds out the second half of these parlays. If you take those last 3, put them into one parlay, that's plus 240. So again, I'm going to take $37.50, put that on this to win $127.82. And then if you combine all 6 of them into one parlay, that's plus 3,326. So I'm going to take the last $25 of our $100 bet, put that towards this to win $856.64. You're going to want to keep these in the same order that I presented them to you. I think it's the best way to bet on these UFC fights, to watch these UFC fights, because the first 3 are going to play out in the same order as the fight card. So as you're watching, hopefully you win, but if you don't win, you still have the second 3 to look forward to afterwards. So, and then if you do win, you've got the first 3 paid out, and then you're hoping for the big full 6 to pay out, or even just the next 3. So I think that it's the most exciting way to watch UFC fights. I'm excited for this fight card, and hopefully we win some money here with these parlays. Thank you so much for watching the first episode of Undercard Heroes.
Do you agree with everything Francisco shared today? Let us know in the comments. Let us know if there's anything that we missed or anything you think we should have bet on, if there are any better picks. And we're looking forward to having a conversation with you. Make sure to like and subscribe.
And check out our next video where we talk about how this $100 did. Did we win? Did we lose? And we'll talk about the next fight coming up. Thank you.